Hello and welcome to Team Draft Tactics with your hosts Eugene
Yo,
and Brian. That's me.
and for the handful of listeners we have out there who are wondering where have we been? Where's the amazing content that we miss so dearly? Well, we are going to take a little bit of a break until the Bloomborough previews come out, and when they are out, we're going to be adding to the dozens and dozens of set card evaluations out there, but with a twist from the team draft perspective. So check back in with us in a couple of weeks after the card previews are out.
Yeah, we can't wait to burrow on in with all of you on some hot team draft action. But today we have some very special guests, Matt, Angelo, and Trevor, your Team Draft LA OTJ season champions, the Chump Blockers. Welcome, guys. Wow, what an accomplishment and what a journey it must have been to get here. I'm curious though, how did it all get started? How did you guys meet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, Angelo. You want to talk?
yeah. I only the first part because like
Sure.
the very specific the first part is like how we met because I remember I was you see Matt remembers already.
I remember too.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
This is funny.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's like I want to talk about this part only, because I think Trevor, you definitely have more about like the legacy and the journey. But like I remember, I think I was the first one. I was the one to try to get the team together. So
Angelo
like
connected all of us.
yeah, that's what
Angelo
I'm
brought
saying.
us all together.
Yeah, because I remember it was just the draft at Kyle's house. So
hmm
Kyle, the fireman Kyle. I don't know if you guys.
Firefighter Kyle, yeah.
Fire, yes, yeah. So it was a draft chaos. Was it no Strixhaven draft at his house, I believe. And then Matt was also there. And then it was just a lot of people from, or it was a handful of people from LA Limited. And I was like, fuck it, I'll go. And then I just like ended up as like the last person because I remember like Vincent called me. He's just like, hey, we need like an eighth person. Do you want to do this? And I was like, all right, you know what? All
It's
right,
because I
whatever.
canceled. I was gonna go to that draft, but
Oh, that was you who
canceled last
canceled?
minute. I had an emergency and I couldn't
That's
go.
funny. Yeah, and then Vincent just gives me a call. I remember I was like slumped over on my table with food coma. I was just like sitting there. I was like, oh, and then Vincent calls, and I was about to take a nap, and he calls. He's like, you wanna be the eighth person? You wanna be the draft hero? I was like, oh okay. So
A lot of
I
pressure.
yeah, I ended up just like running over there because it was just like immediate. They need someone like right now, and then I just drive over there, and then we do the draft, and then we're just talking about like this random like, oh, the draft league, blah blah blah, and then it's like I was like someone who didn't have a team, and then I also met Matt there who also didn't have a team. Funny enough, we didn't even play. We're just people who didn't have teams, and then we're just like, hey, you want to form a team? It's like I don't know. We're just like I don't know, and then it's like we need to find a third person. It's like, oh, okay, well, we'll put it on Discord. So like we left, and it was just us two, like maybe gonna form a team, and then we put it on the LA Limited Discord, and it said, oh, we're looking for a third person for our team. And then Trevor's like, hey, I don't have a team either. And then it's kind of like the start of our team.
Yeah, because Matt and I have been in the league on a different teams before,
Yes.
but this was your first time in the league.
That was my first like interaction with the league. But you guys have been on like many different teams like over the years before.
Yeah, Matt's been around. I was on two other teams previously, and we never did that great. My first team, because I found out about LA Limited. I know you guys have been around in the circle, just playing at LA stores for a while, but I moved here in 2021. I found out about LA Limited through limited resources because Alex, the commissioner, asked his question on the like Patreon question of the week, and he said, "Oh, we have a team draft league here in LA." And then I like looked it up. I was trying to find it. I'm like, "Oh my god, that sounds perfect. I want to make friends. I want to play LA Limited. I want to play team draft." And I didn't know anybody here that played Magic, so and I didn't go to F&M because I don't know. It was like still kind of just getting back with COVID, and the F&Ms were it was like kind of hard to fire. Not everyone was showing up, but yeah. Then I joined an event, and I don't know. It was a cool way to find this team that we've been since the DMU season, right?
Yeah, DMU was the first season for us.
Wow, and then you guys, how many championships have you guys won together?
Together, it's 2. Matt
So
has
Trevor
won.
can talk about this for
Yeah,
about the
Matt,
team's
you
journey,
have.
yeah.
Matt has 4 under his belt or
I
something.
think I have 4. I think I have 4.
Just 4.
He doesn't even remember at this point.
And
There are a lot
we've-
of close calls. There are a lot of close
there
calls.
were a lot of
so-
close calls. Like, okay, this was the sort of the journey. DMU was a fine season. If I could just go on a small tangent of the journey,
Go for it.
it's like so. The DMU was our first season. It was double elimination at this point. We didn't have like divisions and we didn't have round robin. The league keeps changing depending on the size of how many teams return, because season by season it could be from 6 teams to 10 teams to 12, whatever. So the double elimination, we lost 1 to one team, and then we were playing Vincent's team, and we were up 4-2 in the last round, and then they swept us, and that loss sucked. And it was like if we won, we would have gotten to play, and I think it was like to play in the finals because we went on a little bit of a run. We would have had to won twice, but it was just kind of a demoralizing loss being up 4-2 in the finals, or in the last round. I had a really great deck. It was a blue-black control deck in DMU, just kind of perfect. Literally had all the stuff, and I forget what you guys were playing. I just remember mine, and I just
Been a
couldn't
long
get it done.
time.
It was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
that was a bummer. But Brothers War, we weren't undefeated, but it was still double eliminate. Oh no, we were.
Yeah,
So
we were. Yeah.
we were
Got in the
undefeated
finals.
in Brothers War, and in the finals we played Vincent's team again, that same team that they had. So we were hoping to get revenge, and because they lost a match already, in the way that the finals worked is they had to beat us twice, and we only had to beat them once. And in this 8-hour day, we lost both matches, and our decks were terrible in
It
both
started
matches.
at like 10 a.m. or something. I was like half
Finished at
asleep,
7, yeah.
man.
It was just awful. We felt so bad. We still, because you get prizes for the like top 2 teams. Now it's top 4 teams gets prizes of some sort. But that one felt, I think, even worse than DMU.
Yeah, it felt avoidable.
It felt avoidable. I cannot tell you what happened in the one season, but that set was so bad. It's just whatever. But Mom was our like quote undefeated into the finals season. I know we played you guys in the semis.
Yeah, we played you guys in semis.
That was
We
a great
reverse
match.
swept- Yeah, we reverse swept that. You guys almost had us.
It was because it wasn't it 3-3 into the final round.
No, I think it was
Wasn't it
4-2.
4-2?
Oh wait, no, you're right. It was
No.
3-3. Yeah.
Yeah. You went up 3-0. Then we won the 3 in that round, and it went into a 3-3 into the final.
Was
the
that
last
what it
round.
was?
I think we swept you guys first round, then you guys swept us the second round,
Oh,
and then
It was crazy.
yeah, 3-3.
But
that was
the
close. That was a close one. Yeah.
that one was great. In the finals, we played Vincent's team again, and we got that one done. Those I think were our best decks. There's the stupidest draft ever, a very high powered draft, because I had Yorian, Angela, you played Mono White, and Matt got the Ragavan. That was passed to him.
Such a beautiful
Yeah,
deck.
they took an invasion of Amonkhet over Ragavan.
Yep, I'd feel terrible. I'd never forgive
But
myself.
yeah, and he got 3-0.
Sam.
That-
Yeah,
Sam.
no, his deck was really good. I remember he beat me. He had the best deck. I think the other decks weren't as good, and the Yorian match was really good. The first one, right?
That was
that was unreal. Could not believe that
So
happened.
you ended up decking Vincent.
I
Yeah.
ended up
Also-
decking Vincent.
Do you remember how that happened?
It was a
Like, you
Halo
guys were-
Forger
Yep.
off of. Well, Vincent drew like 5 cards at the end of his turn, and then had no cards left in deck, or like had 2 cards left in deck, and I Halo Forgered back something that would make us each mill 3. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you win."
Well, you had a surveil trigger though
maybe?
before that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, you had a surveil trigger, which like you and Angelo were very intense
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
discussing.
yeah.
And it's like, does this win you the game? Angelo
I said,
asked
yeah,
you,
this wins
like,
me the game. I remember I said, does this effing win me the game? Like, I think it does. I know that it's like it's like season one by one, but LCI. This is sort of what we'll talk about when we talk about why we think our team works really well, and I feel like the same with your team works really well. Is we all kind of know each other's in like strengths and weaknesses, and we know how we like to draft, and we know how we're going to read a draft. LCI, we went like 0-6 because the first 3 matches of the season, I had to get subbed, and the subs went a combined 0-9 in their games.
Yeah.
I think it was Trevor had to take 3 subs, and I think I also subbed once, and then
Yes,
it
you
was like
subbed once. It was so
and
bad.
it was just very bad. It was like unplayable.
It was so unfortunate, and I didn't really like LCI that much anyway. But
Yeah, and I don't think we even went into the season saying like, "Oh, we're just gonna sub." It was kind of just like
no, it
things
was
just happened, and it was just like,
It was during
oh.
the holidays. Yeah.
always
It
during the
was just like,
holidays.
oh, yeah, it was kind of like not something that we were trying to do. Right? We didn't
Nope.
go into the season with the intention of subbing more than half the season. It's like probably a way to put it.
Yeah,
I think
that one was bad.
I think the nice thing though about LCI was we kind of picked up on like from losing a lot, we kind of picked up really on like what makes our team good.
Yeah,
Like,
and we kind
what
of
our
just said
strengths were.
we were like, we can't sub. Like, we're gonna do everything we can to not sub and try
Yeah.
and find a way to make that not happen. Or if we can, if we do have to sub, try and find someone that would fit that missing link perfectly.
Yeah.
In Murders, I don't think we subbed once, and we won every match except the semifinals where we lost.
Yeah, tell us about that one.
That one felt even worse than Brothers War.
That was,
I think
I don't know. It was weird. Go ahead, Trevor.
I think for me, I
Because
I don't know.
you guys
Oh, yeah,
were
go ahead.
undefeated, like in the regular season for MKM. You were undefeated going into the
Yeah.
semifinals.
We had that set perfectly mapped out. Everyone knew what we liked to draft. I really liked the blue black decks
Yeah.
and the blue or red decks because I would kind of always find them. But if the white decks were open, then I would go into that and then try and pair it with
Yeah,
one of
you
those
were very
colors.
good. You were very big on polygraph orb. Like,
Yeah, when no one else was. Polygraph Orb was like my pet card that set, and I did some nasty things with it. But I think this, I can say this for kind of all of us, and I think anyone in the team, like the league, is we're all competitive. We all like to win. We all like to competition, but I don't think any of us enjoy losing.
I think nobody in the league enjoys losing.
Right,
I'll
yeah,
say
it's
that,
just-
yeah.
So I don't know. I felt really sad after that loss. I'm like, dang, that would have been really cool if we just kind of won, like didn't lose. It'd feel good because I don't do a whole lot of comp REL stuff. Angelo, that's more your thing. Matt, I know you don't do a whole lot of comp REL stuff.
Nope.
But so this is like where I get my competitive magic fix because it's fun and I feel like the talent. Everyone's really good at drafting here. Everyone's really good at gameplay here, and yeah, it just kind of felt bad because I felt like from the draft, I kind of knew things weren't going our way. And the games they had like top deck planes into Lightning Helix. And
Yeah, it was
like
wild.
3 times. I was like, man,
Yeah.
it wasn't our night. And
I remember
it felt bad.
I remember Matt had a really good detectives deck and would just have to mold down constantly. Just
Oh, yeah,
because
your
like
deck was
his poor
nasty.
lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
that
had
was-
like a very good deck, but it was just had to like kept mulling down, and it was just like very bad.
I think that was the
Oh.
best deck I drafted that whole season, and
Yeah.
it was the saddest.
And he
Oh.
just like couldn't play any of his cards. It's just like two land hand kind of thing getting stuck on. Like it was like very just like poor outcomes, you know.
It was
Even if
demoralizing.
even if the deck was like really nice.
I think I sent you guys a message after because I don't know, I was feeling kind of down. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just team draft league, but it's still fun and exciting, and we're a team. And I was like, all right, let's find ourselves in the same position next season and then get it done. And then we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys came in, and I know you guys beat us the first game of OTJ season.
But
And-
we were the first match of the season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Oh yeah, because you
Yes, Brian came
I
from
don't
the
know, that was
hospital.
Two plays.
Oh,
what?
right.
Yeah, I never quite got my feet for that season, but what was your guys's? I know you talked about your mindset. Let's get ourselves into the same position. What does that involve? What kind of prep or what leads you guys to be in that position again?
Well,
Yeah,
whenever we
go ahead, go.
do this drill where I give them a pack one, pick one, and if they get it wrong, I make them run laps.
Uh,
I wish we did that.
I'm
That'd
not
be so
doing it.
fun.
I'm
I
not
think
doing
Angelo
any
runs them
cardio,
with his
man.
arms. But yeah.
No, I do not do cardio with my legs, man.
Yeah,
Sounds
so
awful.
you guys communicate a lot, I'm sure.
From my perception, I actually think we communicate less than other teams
I kind
because
of agree in a weird way.
we play like we play very different things. Like Matt will be going to like house drafts and like
Mhm.
all this stuff, and Trevor ends up playing a lot of cube or like vintage cube or like even in person cubes and stuff. And me, I mostly just play competitive and I just grind. Like so, like we don't like a lot of times we don't even see each other outside of the season. Like we don't even talk too much. Like I think more than other teams do.
Like what was for me, I grind the queue a lot, like not just queue, but like just the
The
arena
set,
queue,
yeah,
or sorry, arena ladder. Like that's what I'll
yeah,
grind because it gets
yeah,
me a lot of games in. It gets a lot of reps in. Looking at the data, drafting based on that, just seeing what colors are good. That gets a lot of reps in for the set. It's not a 1-to-1 to paper draft. It's definitely not a 1-to-1 to team draft, but that's
yeah.
like how I get my reps in. But I think we talk, so we do talk a little bit, but we don't do the one like the sit down meeting. Let's look at all the cards. Let's talk about what's good. We kind of at some point randomly, very unstructurally, we'll just say like, "Hey, I've been playing this deck. It's good. I
Yeah,
like it."
so in our group chat sometimes it'll be like, "Oh, hey, look, I trophy do this deck." It's kind of like it's kind of off the off the main road, but like I kind of like this kind of stuff, or like I'm
Mm.
kind of high on this card. This card looks really cool. This card is like I think this card is worse than people think it is. Like we have
Yes.
like small opinions here and there, but like we kind of just like put it in the group chat, and then like people just see it's like like just have our teammates take a look at it, and then now they know if they pass that card to you, if they pass that card to me, then like I'm gonna take it even though like other people wouldn't, or vice versa.
Polygraph orb was the big one
Yeah,
from
so
Burgers.
like
That's the biggest one I
for
could think of when I
for
said,
me, yeah, for
"Pass
me
it to
and
me."
Matt, we're just like, okay, so if I pass this polygraph orb this way, then that means Trevor's probably gonna take it, which means that like he's not gonna cut this card that I want him to cut, so I need to
Mhm.
cut it for him, right? Like something like that.
I think we found, because as Trevor alluded to, we've done a lot of seasons together that like we have a lot of trust in each other and each other's prep to like
Yeah.
build up our own strategies and kind of develop that way.
And Matt, Angela, you play a ton of like Magic Online, which again has a different. The games are
Yeah.
different, especially like the competitive, the sealeds, and things like that. So you'll find card interactions that you have to do. Like if you don't get the arena decks are always going to be more powerful than a paper draft or
They
something
always are
online.
best of three draft.
Of
Yeah.
course,
Like
yeah.
yeah.
And I think that I'm like the card evaluation, I'll say like I kind of know this card is going to perform better than this one. This card's better than this one. I know that people will take this higher, that kind of stuff. But you will say, hey, these cards are good together, even though they're not like high percentage or they're not usually seen sought after cards. They get the job done for what this deck is trying to do. And I'll trust you on that, like shoving them in your deck when I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, oh no, what if you just,
Yeah.
try this card, this thing? It was like, no, 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 trust me, this thing works. And like I know Matt, whatever will happen, like whatever kind of weird direction like the packs are going, I feel like I know that Matt will find the open lane. I never have to really I feel like anytime I'm trying to pass something towards Matt, I just feel like you always kind of know the open lane. And you'll read the draft. Like after the draft, you're like, I think this person's in this color, this person's in this color, this person's you're like 95% right all the time
Yeah.
on that.
I
Pretty
appreciate that.
impeccable.
I appreciate that, Trevor, because you always give me that like very humoring look when I give my observations. It's like, I don't know if he thinks I'm right.
Oh, well, that's when I'm playing you. But you're always right. When you guess me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna poker face. Like if we're playing against each other.
I'm hearing that Trevor is very knowledgeable about the data. Angelo finds niche cards and that work well in certain decks and don't necessarily perform as well on Arena. And Matt just, yeah, he finds the lane and he is very experienced in team draft. It feels like he's just a natural savant,
Right.
if you will.
I think I remember there's a night at Darkside where with the leftovers, me, you, Brian, and David, where I think I told you this kind of like team draft philosophy that I kind of believe in. And I pointed out, and it kind of holds true with Chump Blockers, and it kind of holds true, I think, with the leftovers before. Like, as you said, like Trevor is very into 17 lands. He is very data driven. Like Angelo is super innovative. He will take like cards that, don't seem like they sync up together, but they perfectly sync up together. And I told you essentially it's like I think the other third element you need is like a trash king. Somebody who's willing to like scrape these garbage cards. Like, oh, this archetype sucks. Yes, it does. And I will get it.
It's funny that you say that because in the OTJ finals, you took like the lowest win rate color pair, and you got wins. You got like
Yeah.
two. You get 2-1 or 3-0. I don't know. I don't remember.
We
which
didn't go
one.
to the third.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got 2-0. You got 2-0, right? You
Yeah.
got 2-0. I was the only one to
Right.
drop a game, I think, or match. I think.
I also want to just say I'm not strictly just go buy 17 lands.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
go by
sure.
the data
For sure.
because I think obviously you have to read the data. Just like it's data. It's not fact.
Mhm.
You have to interpret it and all that stuff. But what my philosophy is and why I think it works with everyone there is the Chump Blockers. When I look at the data, I'm like, okay, what are the best performing colors, or just what do people think the best color? And in OTJ, it was green, pretty not by like a huge margin. I think everything was playable in OTJ, especially in team draft. Team draft, everything's playable.
Green was heavily
But yeah,
like
green was the
lean,
best.
lean into abs. It's mostly abs then, yeah.
Yeah. So what I could try and do is I will try to look to be in green because being in green means that I'm taking cards away from our opponents and also I'm putting myself in the position to be in the best color.
Right.
Beautiful.
And that's what I've been doing in most of the drafts. And sometimes if I like a card like that I think will wheel and I can find something to do with, and I did actually find a few of those cards in OTJ that I'm like, oh, this will wheel because people don't like it as much, or I know I can do something special with it. Then I'll know those will wheel and I'll get them like last picks, and then I can have some fun with it. But it's taking the good colors because 17 lands and everyone is saying so, and also I kind of know that yeah, green is good. Cactarantula is a very good card. If I see it, I'll try and take it, even if I'm not in green. Sometimes hating is good.
What were some of those cards you're talking about that would wheel or go late that you thought were good?
So I think I know this isn't a loved card by everybody, but the Oasis Gardener I think is pretty solid in the green based splashing around, and especially in team draft, it's like sealed where you kind of want to have really powerful cards to cast. And Oasis Gardener, if you take it, then that means the fixing is worse for your opponents. So taking a card like that is pretty good and important. Another one I really liked was Treasure Dredger. That it's a pretty good black card, but I had a deck that had 3 of them and I was base black, but I was able to splash 4 colors just because I had 3 of them, a couple of other fixing, and I had some green fixing that was like a sort of secondary color, but I had like just as much red cards in that deck as green cards. But I was able to basically do anything because I was just making treasures. And I wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't get like 12th pick treasure dredger. That's a hard card to say.
And yeah, those are the little advantages that really go far in team draft. You do have to know the metagame and what's the baseline of what's good and what everyone kind of agrees upon. But yeah, I really agree with having a trash can, just a dumpster fire on your team that will take that crappy archetype and make it work because no one will touch it because the league agrees it's bad. But I kind of want to get into you guys going into your finals draft.
Can I make like a comment on that thing?
Please.
Just the end. It's like I think Trevor is like it's like we were saying, like Trevor was like more like a grinding arena ladder. So like we kind of know like where he wants to be, and then meanwhile I'm playing like I remember by the time it was the so like MKM released, and then a week after the release, it was an RCQ, and then I was like, okay, I'm 20 sealed pools in already by the time it was the first week of RCQ, and then I immediately qualified for that season
Oh yeah.
because it was just like I kind of just know like how to play the set already. I already know all the edges, like, and so like for me, it's more like the way I look at it is more from like a best of three sealed kind of perspective, like because I'm specifically trying to play the competitive, like we were saying. And then Matt is more like he'll just read the table like as is, because he doesn't grind arena, he doesn't grind competitive, so he just has to read like what's going on and like make the best out of the situation, and like, okay, this is a good card, I'm going to take this card, etc., etc. So like he doesn't, I think that's like what's like kind of like what's good about like the way that we kind of like mesh
Right.
together. We kind of know like, oh, if I'm passing towards Matt, he's just gonna take kind of like, oh, this strong card that might not be a meta pick, but then it's like on paper. It's like Make Your Own Luck, for example. He really likes that card, and it was like. And it was just like, oh, this card on paper is like a two. It's like you're gonna draw three cards and plot one. Well, that's amazing. But like it's unplayed in like in a best of three draft or arena. Like they don't really like that. And then in sealed you're gonna play it sometimes, but like I would rather not be in Simic. Like. But then Matt's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna like whatever colors get passed to me. I'm gonna take these colors. So like that's why it's like it's just a very like smooth
Right.
experience.
3 cards. You get three
And, like,
cards from one card.
right, but you're
Unless the
Simic.
card is worth
Value.
Oh yeah, unless the card's worth money. You can't call
Yeah.
him the trash can because he always ends up with like $40 of value at the end
It's
of the
true.
time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't give him ragavands, guys, for the love of God.
Well, if you want him to take it, he will.
Oh, I will.
He will.
Yeah, like
Now,
we don't really get in each other's ways because like we kind of like know like what they're gonna take if we pass it over or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, knowing each other and being so familiar with each other really lets you guys, kind of see the draft in a way other teams can't, which is really interesting too.
Yeah.
If you guys want and are ready, we can talk about the finals draft, what you remember about it. I know Angelo has some thoughts about how he got into his and how his draft went. So I guess we can start with you.
Yeah. I think it was it's a very basic, like I want to be in greens, and then like I like some fixing. So like my pack one pick one was just like Dance of the Tumbleweeds, and I kind of just like, oh, I saw Collector's Cage, and then I just started seeing like Throw from the Saddle, Snakeskin Veil, and then I saw like Sheep, and I was just like, oh, okay, I think we're just in green white, and I just like never really looked back. But the interesting thing, come to find out later, Trevor was also in green white. But that's kind of like how I think play boosters and this set worked. Like the green white was just Abzan was just very deep, and play boosters like you might just open like a lot of specific
Well,
things, and like
I was
there's
in
no
white green. I wasn't in green white.
So you were heavier white, is what you were saying?
Yeah, basically, I was very heavy white and then splashing everything because I splashed three color or yeah, I was playing three other colors.
like I feel like I'm not even heavy. I don't know. I felt like I was like half even. Like I just like if you look at like my picks, it was if when during the draft I did not feel good. I was very like I don't know if I have a critical mass of green white to do well enough.
But you look at the first four picks of this draft, that's like excellent. Dance of the Tumbleweeds, Collector's Cage, Throw from the Saddle, Snakeskin Veil. That's a great start to a draft.
It's a great like it's a great start, but if you look at the last six or something, like the last half was just like very mediocre. If you look at like the
Right.
last half of the pack one and then last half of pack 2, you start to wonder like what was going on.
But then you
But,
got
like,
a fifth pick Miriam
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like I
in
got a
2.
fifth pick Miriam, but like after that, what did I get? Like,
Yeah, I mean not
which is
much,
why
but
it's just why I was like very like not feeling too hot about what was going on. That's why I was like worried because like the last the last cards of the packs were like for me like the second halves of all the packs were very like
Yeah.
iffy for me.
It did dry
Mhm.
up really in the second half. I see that.
It's like the signals started to like bother me. It's like
but
when
you
I was like,
got I don't know. I feel like your deck was pretty clean by the end. It just
it
was
was
missing a
okay.
couple of
Yeah,
pieces.
yeah. Like okay, so like in multiple games, it was like so let's say I have the conduit pylons, I play Green Blade, are they just like, oh, you're gonna ping me with a desert? And like, and I just said like, no, I don't think I will be doing that because I only had one desert in the deck.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna be doing that.
You just grab another land because you splash black for Honest Rutstein.
That's it. That was the only black splash. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had a good removal. It's crazy because I think we had maybe there was one other throw from the saddle. There might have been 4 throw
I
from
rem-
the saddles
I
in the
think
draft.
I think Ben took one and didn't play it.
Okay.
If that was the case, because I remember there was one go like for the Green Blade, I could have taken another saddle, but then I don't know for the Rustine, I think it was the pack 2 pick 1, and I was passing to Ben, and then I think he took the throw from the saddle, and then
Mhm.
I was like hoping to get it over to you or something, but because I didn't think he was green, but you know it was weird.
What colors did Ben end up going?
What
Ben
like
was green. Ben was
Green,
green,
blue,
blue.
splashing black and red. I
he was
think
also splashing red for Calamity.
calamity. Yeah,
Mm.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. He had Oko that we didn't see until late. His deck was really good.
very scary.
Just I think when I played him, there's a couple of there's 1 or 2 non-games that happened, which it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
he definitely had bombs in there.
And I felt his fixing was pretty good. To like,
Yeah.
it just sometimes I don't know. It's
Doesn't come
variance
together,
really.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when you go a lot of colors, I mean, even though the numbers should check out, there's for some
yeah.
reason it doesn't always.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
sitting you're sitting around at like 996 and still like find a way to not find your colors or something.
Oh, it's a little dicier for me, but
Oh no.
it's supposed to work.
Which-
Why isn't it
your-
working?
Oh wait, your mana, like you have good. Let's say you have a 10/10 mana base, and you're just not getting those. You're seeing the wrong color still.
You're
I'm
still
talking more
seeing the
like
wrong colors, yeah.
8, 7, 4, 3, 2, or so no 4, 3, 3, or something like that.
Man, that's too many
boy.
numbers.
Why isn't this working?
I
Five
think
colors.
I'm very big, and I really try and tell them to not splash unless you can. Just because, especially depending on who we're playing, where I'm like, if you can take the fixing, take it because it's so valuable in team draft when there's less
Yeah.
packs, there's less fixing opened. If we can take it, we can have all of it and force them to get into either clean decks that we want to get into ourselves or force them to play dodgy mana bases and try and splash around, and then we can try and kill them before they can do anything interesting. And like for me, I know I was playing 4 colors in this, but I felt like I had a ton of fixing and a ton of ways to cast like the things I needed to cast.
Yeah. Do
And
you want to talk
also
about how your drafts, from what you remember, like how you navigated it, how did and
I
how you got
took
into that?
the pack 1 pick 1, I took Shepherd of the what I don't know what it is, the 4/3 flyer that returns a mana value 3 or less from
Oh, the unicorn, the 4/3 flying Vigi.
Yes, so I took that, and then I was passing to Roman, and I was kind of I had a hunch. I know that Roman loves to play like kind of Grixis colors, and earlier in the season, I was like, oh, if I could try and take the fixing away from Roman, he'll have to get into like a Grixis color pair, and hopefully his fixing's not good enough, and maybe his deck will be really slow. But he just opened so well, and I passed him just a lot of good cards, and it miserably failed. But this time I passed him Magda as a pack 1 pick 2 for him, and he ended up taking it, and I Figured he was in red, and I wasn't seeing a lot of good red go to me. And then pack 1, pick 2, I got Bruce Tarl. So I'm like, I mean, white is a great color. I love playing white. So I got Shepherd of the Lost, whatever it is, Bruce Tarl. Then I took an Oasis Gardener as just kind of a safe pick to keep me open, because I figured, well, if I can try and be a 3-color deck, play Naya colors. I love playing the Naya colors. That would be great. Then I got the Griff, the Mount Griff. I'm like, okay, my plan is working. And then I got a white-green desert. So really just exactly kind of where I want it to be. And I got like the 3/3 defender, then a Mirage Mesa. And I took Mirage Mesa over another playable card, but because I had 3 different colors of cards and I wanted to play all of them because Shepherd and Griff go so well together. Bruce Tarl, you can put that in a deck that has planes in it. You'll find a way to cast it. And now I had 2 ways of splashing for it with Oasis Gardener and Mesa. And I'll play Gardener because the decks are slow. But then in pack 2, I got some good black cards because I got Badlands Revival. I got the Vault Protector. I got a black-white desert. I was seeing some good black cards. So I kind of turned Volt Plunder, whatever the 3/1 that you can draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got like a Conduit Pylons. So the deck ended up after the whole draft in pack 3. That's when I got 2 Throw from the Saddles in a row. I got the Patient Naturalist. I got that rare, the Smugglers, whatever it is, the Bill 2 or Bill 4, you get 2 things. Smuggler's Surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of ways to splash around. I wheeled the Archangel of Tithes. No one wanted that, but I was heavy white, so I could cast it. And I ended up base white with secondary colors of green and black because I had some good black cards. I had some really good green cards. I had a lot of ways to get mana, a lot of ways to kind of reanimate or bring things back from the graveyard with like the Gravedigger effects. And I got the Shepherd. I have the Badlands Revival. And then I was splashing red just for Bruce Tarl. And I don't even think I played a mountain. I think I just played it. I played it off of Mirage Mesa, Conduit Pylons. I might have played the Gold Pan to get a treasure even. I don't know. I don't have my deck list. I just have the pick order.
Yeah. Do you remember how many white sources you had with your Archangel?
I think I had 9 or 10.
Okay.
I know it's not the Oasis Gardener, the Badlands Revivals, like Tamiliot, other treasures I'd be generating. Smuggler's Surprise is a way to put it into play. I don't mind if it's kind of in my hand and I play it on turn 6, but I ended up having a lot of white sources in play. Like with those other things, it might have been more. And yeah, I was able to cast it a few times. It's great. Cast it. It just makes, especially in the close games, it makes the board gummed up. And I had a lot of flyers too. I think my deck was just it ended up being really good. The mana was the thing I was worried about, but when I was counting all the sources, I'm like, this actually works out a lot better than I think if I just play the right cards and I can mill things and that's okay. And if I mill a source, that's fine. I have ways to get treasures and stuff, and I have ways to get those things back. Like I could bring permanents back with Badlands Revivals if I need to.
Getting a land back that you milled the Badlands Revival.
Which I was considering it at one point, but then I just brought back Shepherd and brought back something else, and then I think they scooped because that's just kind of once you play that card and get something else,
how it goes.
Get that loop. And I think
that's how the set goes.
My biggest worry was that I was passing some good green-blue cards, which ended up in the other team because I think I passed a couple of Make Your Own Lucks, which one got to Roman, one got to Ben.
Yeah.
And I think my deck was, despite it kind of splashing around and everything, it was really proactive because it had the 2 Trained Errances, it had the Griff, it had like the aggressive 2-drops, and the Vault Plunders I was playing, which I was able to kind of play pretty well on curve. A little bit of luck and stuff, but I felt good, at least about my matchup against those cards. And then looking at, I think what like Matt's deck, that was the most interesting one because we saw those go around. He got all of the blue-white payoffs just wheeled to him and handed to him on a silver platter because no one wanted to touch this. And Matt even got his pet card of the set.
Yeah, Matt, you want to talk about your draft? I mean, I guess it seems pretty Pretty straightforward, but
It is pretty straightforward. What's it called? A lot of the cards that ended up in my deck wheeled to me. The two Wranglers, the two Gems. I was able to. The nice thing with those is like I was able to take some of this key interaction, the Repulsed, and both of the Fierce Retributions I took in packs with those cards. So I knew I was able to like get this good interaction, get these good instants, and then like pass
Oh,
these gems,
wow.
which I guaranteed were gonna come back.
Mhm.
oh, so you took the interaction and wheeled the payoffs.
Wheel the payoffs.
Wow.
I think it's funny with this because this actually was one of those decks that I've never played before, but I remember actually with you guys with the Stonecutters, we did a practice draft like really early in the OTJ season, and we all looked at each other's because we did it online through that
Draft answer.
something like
Draft
Draftmancer,
yeah.
right?
Draft answer. Yeah.
And we all looked at each other's deck, and then we looked at Eugene's deck, and it was straight blue white. And I remember you guys harping on that, saying like, we played this earlier, we played against this earlier against this guy, and he crushed us with it. He absolutely destroyed us. I was like, I think this deck might be good.
Yeah, and I think you drafted it perfectly. We talked about wheeling the payoffs a little bit in an episode too.
I drafted it in our practice thing, but I never drafted that deck in the real draft.
Never had the heart. Never had the heart to draft.
Yeah, I wasn't brave enough.
You have to believe. You actually have to believe if you're gonna do it.
The problem is Wrangler of the Damned. It's 5 mana and does nothing the turn it comes in. Like
And-
you
and
have
this
to
is-
wait.
This
wins the game.
is exactly why
so
like our
long,
team
though.
works. It's because like Trevor's like very strict on like specific like assessments, and we know he's strict on it. And then
Well-
like that means I can get it.
Trevor's
No, it's-
wrong, and you guys capitalize on it, right?
No, this is
It's
the
not
thing is-
about it's not about wrong. It's about the behavior is predictable.
yeah, because I think
Yeah.
personally, I don't want to be in a spot where I have because I've tried it. I've tried it many times. Like
I've
tried it
tried
online
it
and
also many times.
I
Yeah.
tried it in paper. I'm like, the reason why this card doesn't work is it's 5 mana. So you don't cast anything on your turn, then you pass the turn, and you cast it at the end of your turn, or even if you cast it on your turn, then it leaves it open for. There's just so many things that have to go right for it to produce 1/2/2 flyer, and a 2/2 flyer is good, but it doesn't get over the top of like Cactarantula. It doesn't get over the top of any of the common white flyers, or like it doesn't even
Yeah.
get past the 3 mana flyer in blue.
And
That common.
this whole thing goes out the window when Matt goes 2-0. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
No, because-
like, this
because
whole thing doesn't matter.
No, because I looked at this. No, I'm just saying like that's why I'm like it's
That's the
a
best
great
part,
prediction
yeah.
about Wrangler of the Dam to not take it, but this deck is really hard because you really do have to be like you have to know when you're going to go shields down to cast Wrangler or when you're going to go shields down to cast Gem
It's a
and
very technical
trying to get
deck,
value.
yeah.
It's you really have to keep cards in your hand, save your removal, save your spells, and
Get your land
maybe
drops, et cetera, et
maybe I
cetera.
don't play a creature just to get this ability to work and to hope to draw a removal spell or something at the end of my turn to cast on their turn. Matt played it masterfully though. And you know how to play these decks. That's like I'm glad you were in this deck because if there's anyone, it's you. You know how to play the decks that like no one wants. And I don't mean like you're in the deck. Like that's just. But no, you knew that like no one wants to play this deck, so I'm gonna try it because you took really great white cards like Frontier Seeker, Trained Darinx, the Prairie Dog, and then you Fierce Retributions, the Getaway Glamour. You had all these cards. You had good blue removal. This town ain't big enough for Pulse. Failed forwarding. I think you were able to always have 2 mana up for this town ain't big enough to cast on your Wrangler. And you had 7 mana up one time to bounce it to your hand and bounce their thing and then put Wrangler down. And that's how you won is Wrangler. And yeah, this deck can work. I don't think blue-white, you should never be in blue-white in OTJ, but this is the best situation that you could be in OTJ is when you can get the uncommon payoffs, like 13th pick.
Yeah, it's like
which Matt was
someone
doing.
someone in the pod's gotta be it. And it's like if like you get all the best cards, if the conditions are met, then like it could actually work out for you.
It's a
It's
bummer because I love like blue white control as an archetype. It's one of my favorites in Vintage Cube. It's what I like. I just love control decks. So I wish these decks were better. I wish I would play them.
I think it's an interesting thing. And I talked to one of my previous teammates, Joe, and he was mentioning because, like, as Trevor said before, like everyone in the draft league is very, very good. We're all like experienced Magic players. We all play a lot of Magic online or arena or just like in person at RCQs and stuff like that. So we all know like it's impossible. It's pretty impossible to pass like key cards, like some of the best uncommons and
You
or
can't be
commons and things
passing
like
throw from the saddle around and expecting it to end
ex-
well for you. Yeah.
exactly. It's not like an arena random draft where like you don't know who you're drafting with. These are like very skilled players, so like you have to kind of make the best with what you got or what you can make, you know?
Like I'm even now on Arena. I'm still seeing the what's that card in
Chrysalis.
Modern Horizon? Yeah, I'm still seeing Writhing Chrysalis's late like 5th and 6th picks, and I will snap those up.
Mhm.
I have a really good win rate right now with MH3, so I'm having a great time.
And it's crazy because like I think you guys are familiar with Jerry, and I just watch him like force Boros, and I see him just like passing these Chrysalids, but then he's going like, he's like getting into
Yeah.
like he's getting digging into Mythic with like Boros decks.
Oh yeah,
Just like 3 conduit
Yeah.
goblins and a scurry of the gremlins. Like,
yeah, that's a great deck, and Jerry is one of the best to pilot those too. He's so good at
yeah.
those kinds of decks.
And it's like it's very weird. It's like you don't know if the players who are passing Chrysalis are just bad, or if they or if they know
That's true.
something that you don't know. Because he was, I remember like he was doing it very early before people were catching on to the Boros, and it's just like, oh look, I got 4 conduit goblins.
Yeah, no, for the Conduit Goblins is great. I love. I mean,
Yeah.
now we're in MH3, but I feel like for the that's a good point, Matt. I agree. Everyone is good, but also everyone has different preferences, and there is a little bit of a meta with in this league because a lot of teams have been returning teams. I don't know how many new teams we've had, but like even you guys, like going up against you guys, I always like playing your team because I feel like you kind of know how we draft. We know a little bit how you guys draft, but sometimes there's surprises. Like
Yeah.
David didn't he get Oko?
Calamity.
Yeah, he had Oko
Oh,
in our
yeah, but we never saw it.
Yeah.
Oko?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
for
ended
the
up with
team
it.
draft, the
This is the
official
foil
match,
Oko.
right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
we
we
just
traded
never
for
saw it. Yeah, we played all 3 rounds and just never saw the Oko, right?
Yeah, I
Correct.
don't think he ever drew it.
Yeah, that's
Which again that happens, which sucks.
It's depressing,
It's
but I'll take it. I'll take it.
I mean I'll take it, but it's like
I'll take it.
I hate when that happens, right? Like you hate that's just part of team draft though.
Yeah.
It's part of Magic, and this back to like the murders, the semifinals, the undefeated. So many things have to go right. Like
Mhm.
it's the same in any sport. It's the same in any game. Any like pro tour run you see has to have a little bit of luck and a little bit of things going right. The game, like the winning in to get to top 8, or the winning in to get like your opponent stumbles on mana for a turn, and you would have lost if they drew a land instead of that card. Like no,
It
hands
really is
down.
amazing how close those margins are between victory and defeat in team draft. And yeah, like you said, it's not about getting lucky, but you do need a little like your mana to line up right or your opponent to stumble a little bit to win an entire season. It's not an easy feat. Like everything has to line up as well as having all the right prep, all the right, strategy going into these things. It's so you guys doing it again, it really shows that you guys make the most of your odds. Because it's no surprise that you guys won, honestly. Even though like there's so many teams that can win, but you guys winning really shows that you got a winning formula here. We're learning
Oh.
from you guys all the time.
We'll see if you
Yeah.
guys can do it again next season.
I have no idea what the next set is going to be like. I think that's the other thing is it really matters how much the set you can understand the set. Angela, you hated OTJ. I loved it.
I hated it because like by the time like so after release weekend, I was like already at a comp event and I was like so I went to MXP San Francisco and I just grinded. So it was like Friday, Saturday, I just drafted all day both days and then Sunday I played an RCQ and then like and in the meanwhile Jerry was also grinding OTJ, and then like I went with Anthony Garcia. I think some of you guys know him, some of you guys don't. He also was like grinding drafts with me, and then we just like came up with like, oh, this set is just literally just Abzan, like this, and then it's like I knew it from the first weekend, and then like though like it was crazy because like I remember in the RCQ I qualified like immediately for that, the first week through that RCQ that I went to, but then it was like my opponent had three Dance of the Tumbleweeds and Ride Down, and he was just like slamming 10-10s into my face with Ride Down. And then I was just like, well, I somehow outgrinded it because I had Morbid Opportunist. And it was like I had to like play the situations like very, very tightly, but like this is what the set is. It's like special guests, and like at least this is my opinion of it. Special guests, big stuff in green, like blacks, black good black and white support. Like that's why like I get very like jaded very quickly because I'm just like I don't like this set because like I feel like people just like win off of special guests and broken stuff that's not supposed to be here. Like Bonnie Paul, yay! Like
Yeah, that card should not have been. I mean, it's fine. It's a rare. Should have been mythic, maybe,
I think
but
it should have been mythic.
we beat. Well, we beat that one of we played against the Bonnie Paul ones.
I had
We
a Bonnie
beat that
Paul
team.
also. Yeah, and they didn't beat they didn't beat our Bonnie Paul. So it's very it's very like
All the
I don't
bonus
know.
sheet
I
sets
think
are
I
very
think this
Bonnie.
yeah. Well, I don't think March of Machine bonus sheet was egregious. That's what I'm gonna say about
No,
bonus
but it was
sheet.
Bomby.
Yeah.
Like there were
Sure,
great
but I
bombs.
don't think it was this bad. I don't think it was bad.
No, March, but I think March was a better set, in my opinion. But I actually really enjoyed OTJ. I look forward to revisiting it in a few months if someone hosts a house draft or something.
Yeah, but what you say, Angel, is really interesting. It seems like you grind sets a lot early on. You identify the most powerful strategy and you know the bombs that kind of swing the games, and you deduce that this is the set and this is the way people win. And it's interesting that how you get jaded so quickly because you figure it out so early
Yeah,
on.
it's like I'm, like that's like I said, like the first week of MKM, I already had like almost 20 sealed pools ready. And I was asking the other people at the RCQ, like, hey, I was like, oh, how much did you guys play? And they're like, oh yeah, I played like a sealed and two drafts on arena. And I'm just like, oh. Like it's like I think I go through the experiences of like like the frustration of the set like much faster and much in a much more condensed timeline than
Right.
most people who play do.
Yeah.
But it's like it's specifically because I'm looking for the competitive edge, because I plan on like going to like a sealed RCQ and going to multiple sealed RCQs. So like I need to have the edge if I'm going to perform well.
Yeah, you're kind of hacking it
Yeah,
super speed.
trying to at least. Yeah.
But with these special guests, I think it's just part of play boosters and the draft environment moving forward. There's going to be stuff like that, like Bonnie Paul, maybe as well. There's powerful rares printed, so might be something we have to deal with in
Yeah,
the
there's
foreseeable
multiple
future.
factors. I think like also like how before you could guarantee like one card of every color in every pack. Like some packs just don't have a specific color, and then it's just like two packs in a row you don't see green, and then you're like, oh, this must be a signal that I can't, my chair is not green. And then like the pack right after that is just like two really good green cards, and it's just
Yeah.
like, and it's just like this like that kind of occurrence was like much less, less before play boosters. So like, you have like, there's just a lot of like, I think a lot more variance, and it's like harder to read some drafts depending on, what was opened and how many people are in the pod, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Things are changing, but you guys still continue to keep finding your edges, and yeah, you guys have a great winning strategy for success, and you guys are the reigning champs, the team to beat, and really appreciate you guys coming on and giving us some insight into how you guys go about it.
Well, thanks for having us. This was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
thanks for having
and,
us for sure.
uh,
Yeah.
You guys keep doing your thing. And there you have it, guys. We really hope you enjoyed this episode, and a big thank you to Jared Jenkins for letting us use his music for our intro and outro.
Check back in with us in a couple of weeks for Bloomborough. Bye.
Bye, everybody.